Before Sailor Jerry became a household name, before Ed Hardy built a brand empire, there was Bert Grimm. He was a tattooer's tattooer who carved out a life with a needle in his hand and a shop in Long Beach that became the beating heart of American tattooing. His career spanned nearly the entire 20th century, and his influence is still alive in the shops and artists who trace their lineage back to him. I know this because I carry pieces of his flash myself, the gambler's hand and a dagger and snake combo. When I look at those tattoos, I see more than just ink. I see history, legacy, and an unbroken line from Grimm's tattoo sheets to my skin. Welcome to Skin and Story. If you ask tattoo historians who kept traditional tattooing alive through wars, prohibition, and shifting public opinion, Grimm's name comes up every time. But how did a kid hanging around tattoo shops in Portland end up becoming what many call the most influential tattooist in history, leaving behind work that still gets redrawn, still gets reinterpreted, and still gets tattooed even today? We're going to follow his path, from carnival tents to the new Pike, through to Sea Tramp of Portland, where his hand-painted flash still hangs today. We're going to get into the living skin of thousands, including my own. Bert Grimm was born in 1900, right at the turn of the century, when tattooing was still considered a sideshow act. Portland, Oregon, where he came of age, had a small but active tattoo community. The waterfront drew sailors, and the mix of logging camps, shipping lines, and traveling circuses meant tattooers always found work. As a boy, Grimm gravitated toward that world. He hung around tattoo shops in Portland, watching men get marked with anchors, with ships, with flags, and of course, pinups. Tattoo shops back then were smoky, loud, and raw. For a kid, that must have felt alive and dangerous in the best possible way. And he didn't just watch. Grimm joined the traveling world himself. He spent time with the Buffalo Bill Wild West show, learning the pulse of carnival life, how to attract a crowd, how to travel, and how to tattoo skin under pressure. He also had his mentors, Sailor George Fosdick, then Sailor Charlie Bars. From then, he learned discipline, precision, the value of drawing, and that every tattoo is both art and trust. By the 1920s, tattooing was shifting. The East Coast still had storied tattoo arcades. But out west was where many of the new clients were. Sailors, travelers, people moving fast and moving between ports. Grimm saw opportunity. In 1927, he opened the shop in Long Beach, California. His roots there would become deep. The new Pike amusement area, with its arcade lights, roller coasters, game halls, sideshows, bars, and the sea, always on one side, pulled in crowds. Sailors on leave mixed with locals seeking thrills or souvenirs. Grimm's shop was perfectly placed, visible, bold, and consistent. Bert Grimm was a grinder. His flash sheets were front and center. They were visual magnets. Bold eagles, daggers, snakes, hearts, panthers, gamblers' hands. These designs drew people in. They told a story from the very beginning, before the needle even touched the skin. Clients who came through Grimm's shop were many. Sailors, local folks, travelers, people who wanted something that said, "I was here." And of course, fans of his flash. Today, almost every social media thread about traditional tattoo flash will mention Bert Grimm, and for good reason. His gambler's hand design, his daggers and his snakes, and many others are redrawn and reinterpreted constantly. You see many versions in shops, sometimes known, sometimes anonymous. That's part of what makes his work feel so alive. Sea Tramp Tattoo Company in Portland carries on his legacy. Sea Tramp is Oregon's longest running tattoo shop, and it was originally opened by Bert Grimm. His hand-painted flash sheets still decorate the walls there. When Don Deaton took over the Portland shop, he renamed it Sea Tramp, and in 1989, moved to its current location. Another shop in the Bert Grimm lineage is Outer Limits Tattoo in Long Beach, which carries on the tradition from Bert Grimm's shop on the Pike. In both shops, Bert Grimm's flash still hangs on the wall. Let's talk about my tattoos. The gambler's hand and that fearsome dagger entwined with a snake. These pieces are classic Grimm flash. They carry his hallmarks: clear, bold lines, graphical clarity, and no unnecessary frill. Imagery that tells you what you got before you even see the color. These designs also illustrate how flash works as a culture. Flash sheets aren't just templates. They are shared visual highways. People redraw, they adapt, they recolor, and of course, they recombine. Every time someone tattoos a Grimm design or works from that style, they're participating in a living tradition. In the social media world, Grimm is cited nearly always as one of the roots of American traditional. His flash is redrawn by many, sometimes faithfully, sometimes loosely, but the echo is always there. Part of what makes Grimm's legacy strong is the people who came up under him. Bob Shaw is arguably one of the most important. He had full sleeves from Bert Grimm by the age of 16. He learned under Grimm, worked alongside him, carried the flame, and later took over the Pike shop. I did a video on Bob Shaw. There will be a link in the description. You should definitely check it out. Then there's my friend Gaunch. He's part of the wave of artists who carry Grimm's designs forward, adapt them, and keep them relevant. Bert Grimm, Sea Tramp, Bob Shaw, Gaunch, all the way to Outer Limits Tattoo in Long Beach. They're all links in the chain. My tattoos are a part of that chain, and anyone else who has a Grimm tattoo is a part of that chain. One big chain. Bert Grimm's career spanned nearly 7 decades. He tattooed through the Roaring '20s, through the Depression, through World War II, through the post-war boom, through the era of mass culture, and into the late 20th century when tattooing became more in the public view. He died in 1985. His Portland presence still lives on at Sea Tramp Tattoo. The hand-painted flash still hang there. Don Deaton, one of his students and longtime operators, tells the story of seeing many fresh Bert Grimm tattoos at his funeral. Arms bare around the grave, showing the work, showing respect. Bob Shaw continued that work. He innovated, painted flash, ran shops, held on to standards, and carried on the craft. Shaw's styles of lettering, painting, and flash design are often traced back to Grimm's influence. Every time a tattooer redraws a gambler's hand, or recombines a snake and dagger, or lifts one more eagle from a flash sheet that resembles Grimm's legacy grows. When I think about Bert Grimm, it's not just history on a page. It's personal. I carry 2 of his designs, the gambler's hand and a dagger with a snake. Those tattoos remind me that his flash is not just frozen in time. It's still alive, it's still being redrawn, and it's still walking around on people just like me. I have stood inside Sea Tramp in Portland, and I have seen his hand-painted cheats on the wall. I have followed the line through Bob Shaw, through Gaunch, and through every artist who still paints his designs and makes them new again. And I respect him deeply. The legacy of traditional tattooing lives in our skin and in our story. Thanks for being here.